And my name is Karen Bujan. I'm an education specialist, and I'll be helping out facilitating the session. The agenda for today, we will start with a brief overview of Royal Roads University. Then we're gonna dive into the BBA project-based learning program. You will learn what it's all about. Then we're gonna talk about admissions and how to apply, and we're gonna finish with some questions, as well as some testimonials from our great students that are joining us today. So, some facts about Royal Roads University, in case you're not familiar with us. We are located in Victoria, BC, and we've been a university for roughly 30 years. We offer more than 70 programs, and they are offered in different delivery modes. We offer programs completely online, completely in person, where you come to campus, and we also have programs that are offered in a blended way, with a component online, and then there's some weeks that you have to come to campus. In comparison to other universities, we are smaller, so you can expect our average class size to be small as well. It's roughly 35 people. This is not only because we are a smaller institution, but it's also intentional because we appreciate you learning from a more personal way, or you having a more personal relationship with your instructors. And also, we want to encourage our students to learn from their peers. We are a multicultural community with alumni from over 92 different countries. So there's a good chance that you would meet people from different backgrounds, different cultures, different ways of thinking, and different experiences when you join our programs. So we want to encourage you to really learn from them as well. So this is why we have small class sizes. What is the classroom? As I said, we have small class sizes that allow for accessible and authentic relationships with faculty and your peers. We have a flexible and personalized learning that addresses your unique needs, and it is cohort based. So that promotes collaboration. And a bonus is that it's an easy registration because you move with your cohort. So it's not like in other institutions where you might have to be fighting for a spot in the class or having to understand or trying to do different schedules and making it up by yourself. It's easy to register, you move with your cohort, and you go along. The learning experience is very hands-on. You have opportunities to work with real organizations and solve real problems right from the beginning. So you get a chance to apply whatever it is that you're learning in the classroom. Right away, you understand how to apply it in the real world. So it's not only theory, you get a lot of real life experience. You can do internships, co-ops, field practices, and community or industry projects. And we also offer study abroad opportunities. So if you want to broaden even more your experience, there's a chance for you to go in a short-term or long-term exchange with our partner universities. We have partnerships with universities in Latin America, Europe, and Asia. So you could go for programs there, and most likely the credits that you take there are transferable to your degree here as well. So lots of education for you to broaden your perspectives and get that real life experience. These are just some pictures for you to see our space. Most of the pictures are from our Colwood campus. And the last one with the guy in the computer is just showing that if you choose to study online or a blended delivery mode, you can study from anywhere, but you will be also part of the community. So these are just our beautiful gardens, our beautiful castle that we have here. It's a heritage site, and we also are next to the lagoon. We have tons of trails that you can explore if you're on campus, if you want to take a break, maybe after meeting with your teammates and classmates. In the library, you can go and take a breather in our gardens, etc. So just so you know where we are located and what our campus looks like. We just also want to briefly mention, we are not sure who is joining the session specifically. If you have already completed a diploma, then you will come to years 3 and 4 to complete your bachelor degree. But if you happen to be younger or you are not completing your diploma yet and you're just browsing, we also offer year 1 and 2. So you could start with a certificate in year 1, and if you want to continue, you can work towards getting a diploma for year 2 and then transfer to years 3 and 4, which is this session is about the years 3 and 4. But just briefly mentioning that there's also opportunities for you to join us from year 1 as well, if that interests you. And now I'm gonna pass it on to Lee, and he's gonna explain more about the BBA program.
Hi, well, thanks very much, Karen. And before we start, just a quick shout out to my colleagues, Angelina and Lisa, who are joining us today, and two current students, Amanda and Arav, who are also came in early to score a free muffin and a free coffee, but also to share their insights in what it's like to be a BBA student here at Royal Roads. So, you know, if you've been fishing around for trying to decide where you want to go as a student, you've probably sat and watched a variety of webinars. I guarantee you there isn't a program head out there who isn't going to try to describe their program as unique and the best, and you should come here because it's awesome and everything else. And, you know, really, if you're looking at BBA programs across Canada, there's a variety of amazing programs out there from a lot of different universities. However, I can honestly say that this program is one of a kind. And it's not just hyperbole. If you think about what you know or what you're expecting to see when you come to a university program, oftentimes we see stuff maybe in movies, or we talk to our moms and dads or other people in our family, and we're expecting to be in, like, you know, great big amphitheaters where you're just a number, and there's like 200 other students around you, and you take a bunch of notes while the instructor talks at you, and then you leave the class, you never ask a question, and at the end of it, you cram in order to do an exam. Well, we don't do any of that within the BBA program. The BBA program is truly unique, especially within Canada. It's all project-based learning. So imagine a space where you're not sitting through courses. You're not taking a marketing course. You're not taking a finance course. You are not cramming for exams. We don't have exams. Where you can actually finally scratch that itch, which has probably been itchy since the last few years in high school, where you just want to actually do something. You're smart, you know stuff, you know how to do things, you've got opinions, and you want to be able to actually apply your knowledge to real world actual problems and learn as a result. That's the whole point of the BBA program at Royal Roads. It's project-based learning. It means that there's no courses, no exams. All the learning takes place within projects. So as a student, you can prepare for the fact that you're probably going to be involved in about 12 to 15 projects across the 16 months that you're with us. And each one of those projects is real world. They're not made up. I spend a lot of my time and working also with Lisa too. The two of us are out there in the community talking to organizations from the private sector, from the public sector, nonprofit, social enterprises, organizations that are embedded within our local community here on Vancouver Island, and asking them, hey, if we said that we could give you students to work with you for 4 to 5 weeks, what's a problem or a challenge that you've got within your organization that we could use as a focus, and we could do some consulting work for you as an organization, but our students would also learn at the same time through that process. And so the students, there's 4 terms, the students within each term, they're working on about 3, sometimes 4 projects, but usually 3. And each one of those, They're 100% focused on that project during the 4 weeks that they're working on it. And it's trying to address a real problem or a real challenge in an organization. The assumption is that at the end of that project, the students are actually delivering real recommendations, real ideas, real insights to a client that really needs that information. So you're not just sitting there trying to tick a box for the instructor that says, you did this case study and you did this analysis and that's it, and you move on to the next course. This is very much emergent, where just like in a consulting environment, you have to kind of use your instinct, use your brain, but also compile new information, learn new knowledge and new approaches, new tools that are focused on whatever the challenge is that the client has presented to us. It's a really dynamic and interesting way to learn. And the real benefit of this is that, if you think to yourself, if you went through like a 4-year BBA program at another university, for example, it might be an excellent program. At the end of it, you can basically showcase that you did a course in marketing, and you did a course in economics, and you did a course in maybe business sustainability. But you didn't necessarily work with any clients. You didn't apply that knowledge in the same way that you would apply it within our BBA, our project-based learning approach. Application within an exam setting, it's really kind of regurgitation. You sit there, you cram the information into your head, and then you kind of blurt it out during the exam. And if you had to write the exam again, like a second time right away, you probably would have forgotten most of the information, because it's like you shot it, you spent it, it's gone. When you work by actually applying the information and doing work that someone is counting on you, another external, not just your instructor, not just your university, but another business is actually counting on you to do good work. Because they've got a challenge or an issue that they need addressed. It puts your learning in a completely different scope. Now, I want you to picture what is hopefully going to happen for both you as a person who maybe takes any BBA or any degree program, but also our students here that we have today and our other current students. At some point, you're going to want to get a job, right? That's kind of the goal of this, is you want to be able to graduate from this experience and be able to, pitch yourself to an employer that you really want to work at. So if you kind of close your eyes and picture two different people, we've got one person who has gone through a regular program where they sat through courses and they did exams and they finished courses. And we've got another person who did the project-based learning approach. What employers are really valuing and looking for, they're not terribly interested in what courses you took. They probably don't really care what grades you got. I mean, I'm 53. I've never been asked for what grade did you get in your BA in year 3. Like, it doesn't come up in conversation with employers, but they do highly value and want to know, where have you worked? What have you done? Within a regular degree program, well, you've done courses and you've done some exams. Within our program, you're actually able to list the companies, the organizations, the municipal public sector bodies, the nonprofits, the indigenous-led organizations, the social enterprises. You'll be able to list those organizations that you have worked for because you've done work for them. And you'll be able to talk about your experience with each of those. And, as someone who in the past has run job interviews and tried to find people to employ, I can tell you which one is going to stand out for me. It's going to be the person who actually has experience, the person who can say, I didn't just learn the theory, I applied it. I didn't just learn kind of siloed, atomized courses, taking just economics and just marketing and just business sustainability. I applied a variety of ideas from all of those course areas in the work that I did for a real client addressing a real problem. So when you any of you who have worked professionally, because we get people at a variety of different stages of their life coming into the program, you know that, well, in a business environment, you're not just facing a marketing problem. You're not just facing an economics-based problem. You probably got something to do with, well, we've got a new product that we want to launch, but we're not sure, what our distribution network is going to look like, and we don't know exactly who we're supposed to be marketing to, nor how to communicate that, nor even to figure out whether we've been effective with our whole process. Well, that problem spans a whole variety of different courses. And that's why within project-based learning, we take the whole problem and we don't try and split it up into these little sections, but you learn by actually addressing all of those areas within that time frame for the project. I'm constantly amazed when I compare my own experience as an undergrad student many years ago. I'm constantly amazed what students like Amanda and Arev and the rest of the cohort and the cohorts that we've had previous to this, I'm amazed what they're able to produce when the instructor sets up the project or the challenge for the student and then gets out of the student's way, provides support, but allows the students to actually take this in directions that they think are important with guidance, but are able to actually see problems from new directions. And our clients really value this too. They oftentimes are very hungry to get an outside opinion on whatever their challenge is. So, for example, we've got an organization that is coming up at the end of the term. So the students haven't worked on this project yet, but I'm really curious to see where it's going to go. This is for a client called the Indigenous Perspectives Society. They're just down the street here in Langford, if you're in Langford. And they have asked us to help give advice to create an internal organizational AI policy, which is Indigenous aware and Indigenous informed. Now, it's fascinating because I don't think there's any students that we currently have at the moment that would identify as Indigenous. And so Indigenous Perspective Society is valuing the fact that they're going to get some outside opinion to help with this very tricky, very timely challenge. But the students are going to be able to get an insight into, well, what would the differences be between just an off-the-shelf AI policy and one that is actually informed by Indigenous ways of knowing and understanding the world and the values that they have and how they want to show up within that space. And we've got other projects that are amazing. We did a project, it's getting about a year ago now, with an organization called Cascadia Seaweed that we like to talk about a lot. And their challenge was they had a new product that they were trying to bring to market. So what they do is they harvest seaweed, they squeeze out all the juices, all that liquid becomes liquid fertilizer, but they're left with all that pulp. And they wanted to know, well, what do we do with this? And one of the options is that if you feed that pulp, if you process it a little bit, feed it to sheep and cows and chickens in particular, the methane that is produced just by regular biology within those animals is actually reduced when you feed them the seaweed. There's something in the seaweed which helps to reduce the methane. Well, this is great and really important because methane's a greenhouse gas which is multiple times more potent than carbon dioxide. So Cascadia Seaweed came to us and said, we've got this product. We don't know what to do with it. Our students spent about 4 or 5 weeks literally calling just about every feed supply store on the island here and every farmer who has livestock and asking them their opinion. What would you use this product? What would the challenges be? What might the risks be? What advice would you have? What feedback could we bring back to the client in order to inform them about their decision? And in the end, the decision was that it was actually too risky, and Cascadia Seaweed wouldn't go ahead with that product development. Now, we've just saved that organization all of that time and work and effort by doing that research. The students have learned tons about things that they wouldn't have known before about livestock, about farming, but also about greenhouse gas emissions, how to bring a product to market, how to deal with the balancing that cost benefit analysis of what is the risk that would be involved to bringing this to market, and can we justify that? So all of that would have fed into this really pretty amazing project that came together in the end. So I hope that my brief kind of overview there gives you an idea that yes, this is a BBA program. Yes, you are coming and you're talking about and learning about business in sustainability and innovation. It's kind of baked into the title. But when I say that, I make the claim that this is a really unique program, it really is. There's nobody else in Canada, and in fact, there's very few places around the world that are doing something even similar to what we've done with our project-based learning approach. So if you're a student that really wants to just kind of melt into the background, wants to be part of, 200 plus other people, just wants to be a number and just wants to kind of do courses and write exams and cram, this isn't going to work for you. This isn't the program for you. If you're someone who has been frustrated by the fact that nobody ever asks me my opinion, nobody ever lets me do stuff, nobody ever recognizes the fact that I know how to do things. And when I see a problem, I've got ideas of what the solution could be. Or I'm really interested in and learn from working with my hands. I don't want to be just talked to by someone at the front of the stage for hours at a time. I want to actually do. If that describes you, then this is the project or this is the program for you. You're going to really thrive within this space, and it's going to scratch that itch. It's going to let you feel that you've come out of this not just with a degree and a piece of paper and a bunch of grades and all the rest of the stuff. You've come out with experience, and there's no way that you can, I don't know, replace that experience. That stuff's going to stay with you for the rest of your work life, the rest of your life. What it is that you've actually done within the 16 months that you're with us may well be absolutely pivotal to you scoring the job that you really want to do or opening up a business with much clearer ideas about what it is that it would take in order to do that. So that's my pitch to you as to what the BBA's project-based learning is all about. We do have a few questions that I'm going to invite our students to come in now. I believe this is the right time. Yeah, here we are. I thought that was the next slide. So we're going to meet our students. So we've got Amanda Mitchell and we've got Arav Modi. If you want to maybe both take off your microphone thing, so activate your microphones. I've preset some questions with them so that I'm not trying to catch them off guard. But I really do want, I encourage both of you, Amanda and Arav, to be honest and open with your feedback and your insights with the questions that I have. So I've got 4 questions for you. So the very first question, and I'm going to ask this one to Arav first, and then I'm going to come over to Amanda. So the first question is, when you describe the BBA program to friends and family, what do you say? How do you describe it? What stands out for you, Arav?
I obviously started with its practical application of whatever study we do, and it's not just a theoretical study like this is the course and this is what we study, and there's like a practical written exam I have to write about, and I passed the exam. I
Mm-hmm.
always go with like, hey, so on the first week I met the client and I got to know the client needs. We got real talking to the client, and we started with what we have to start with, and our instructor suggests that this is the way that we can go through with this. So that's how I really start my conversation, and they're really interested in how this project-based learning applies because I have never seen this type of course ever before, and that is what actually interested me to apply in it and learn more about it. So that's how I start my conversations. Yes.
Yeah, nice. Amanda, what about you? How do you describe it to friends and family?
I never know where to start, to be
Yeah,
honest, because it's so unique. I'm from Southern Ontario. I've been to another college or two colleges in Toronto, and it's been very different than my experiences there. Um, I often say I'm learning a lot more than I expected because of the project-based learning and the group work. You're not just learning hard skills, you're learning soft skills as well. So
yeah.
even, for example, yesterday we had a systems mapping presentation. Like you mentioned earlier, Lee, being able to speak on what you're learning, it's a different type of challenge, but it helps, at least for myself, it helps me retain the information better.
Hmm.
And knowing if I can speak to, you know, passerbys about system mapping,
Hmm.
um, in this setting, then, it gives me the confidence to carry that conversation outside of the academic setting. So yeah, it's been interesting. I will mention for every project, we have a different professor, so
Hmm.
that also offers, some different insight and teaching styles that, if you're a specific type of learner, you may be able to pick up skills from certain professors, or perhaps they're not your style, then
Hmm.
you know that in 4 weeks you'll have a different professor, but everybody's been so great so far. I've never had so many professors that have been so eager to help and see students succeed, again, not just within their assignments, but outside of the classroom and working on connections and skills and whatnot. So yeah, it's a unique program for sure. Um,
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that, it's funny talking about that Map the System project that you and Arav are just finishing up now. Just that ability to deal with a really broad sense of complexity. So for those listening, the system mapping was a project which was focused on find an issue, anything in the world, and map out visually what the components are that help to create this challenge or this issue. And it's one of those things that sounds easy at the start, and then when you start to dig into it and try to think about how you're going to map this, it's quite hard. So the issues that were dealt with were one was with homelessness, and the other one was on fast fashion. And as you can imagine, those are both very big global issues. Um, so, aside from that, just to give anyone who's listening a little bit of context, um, what has been maybe the most surprising thing about project-based learning? Because I think Arav and Amanda, you've both said that this was new to you as a way of learning. So I'm curious if you could cast your mind back to maybe the first few days of the first project you had. What was like, oh my goodness, I had no idea that it was going to be like this. Arav, do you want to start out on that one?
Sure, yeah. When I first arrived in the project, when I first started my project, it was like a whole new learning curve because it was definitely something different, way more than I imagined. It was different in the ways that, first of all, I appreciate that this course provides the teamwork as an insight, which is very useful in any point of your life, as in any job you do or any business you do, you start working with a team and not alone. And you need to have those people around you. You need to be able to trust those people and build those relationships with each other in order to deliver your specific the deliverables to your client. So one of them was teamwork. That I appreciated always, and instructor always helpful about it. The other thing I was definitely surprised and excited was that it was out of scope learning.
Mm.
We had to provide reports, professional reports, which I have always read but not never written one. And now it was time for me to write one report based on actual research and actually gather data from all the sources, from peer-reviewed sources, from actual journals who have done extensive research and then gain insights from them and then present them to the client, which
Mm.
they might not be aware about. So that was something surprisingly exciting for me that hey, somebody's business and somebody's clients depends on me and my team, and I have to give my best to them uh, to meet their expectations. So yeah.
Yeah, nice.
Mhm.
Amanda, what about you? What's been surprising about the whole method of learning?
I think probably how everything's cohort based
Hmm.
and how we're only working on one project at a time. In
Hmm.
my previous academic journey, I've had classes or semesters where I've had 7 classes at once.
Hmm.
So having
Yeah.
your brain turn on accounting, turn off accounting, turn on
Hmm.
law, turn off law. Oh, now we're working on something else. Like
Hmm.
it's and then you have your deliverables on top of each of those courses that not if you step back, they complement each other. But in the moment, as a student, you're thinking, oh my gosh, now I have to do this and this. It's demanding in a very different way. So being able to focus on only one project at a time, it's um, not easy, but it certainly gives you the mental space and capacity to really question what you're doing, why you're doing, how to improve it, and you know, come up with a better quality deliverable and understanding rather than just, okay, like separated
Hmm.
coursework, like you mentioned earlier. So yeah, that's been interesting.
Yeah, no, I remember that experience myself too with my undergrad, and wondering to myself, how do these things all link together? And of course, when you're taking those individual courses, they probably don't. They maybe culminate at the end, maybe in a capstone project of some kind. But even there, you can be kind of selective about what skills you're pulling from which courses. And I can certainly, remember like don't ask me actually what courses I took because I don't remember, right? They fade into the distance because they haven't necessarily been applied. Whereas within this setting, being able to actually, even within a project, well, you might be dealing with legal stuff and you might be dealing with a variety of other issues with marketing and whatever else, but it's all contained and focused within that one project, that one challenge statement that acts as the core. So that to me, I think if I can second that opinion that it would just make it easier to pull it all together and to make it have meaning instead of I'm just learning this so that I can regurgitate it during an exam. Um, so our days are maybe a little bit different from how maybe initial degrees or initial universities or colleges that you went to. Our days certainly look different than how I experienced an undergrad when I was young, which was kind of what Amanda was talking about, where maybe you show up in the morning and then you go from one class to another. Could you could you walk people through what does a typical day look like at and it's hard to say because there aren't really that kind of same day, one after the other, but there's some similarities. I wondered if you could illuminate that.
Well, as Amanda mentioned, that it's really good that there's just one focus on one project, because we work on project for 4 weeks. That's the like minimum 4 weeks, sometimes 5 weeks. But so when I start my day, you get dressed, of course, everything, and then at 10 a.m. we start. We dive into our work. We do our work for 3 hours. We have team discussions, team meetings. I We just recently discovered the agile process, which helps us break down the process of how we are going to finish this week, or what we're going to finish this work. So that helps us, and that helps us basically set us a plan for the week. And a typical day would be like. Focusing on there's definitely great focus in the university, as your professors and your teammates are around, so we all dive into our stuff, the work we do. And even after the day, it's not the stressful, the traditional that, oh, the day is over now, I have to do homework. It's never like that. Honestly, when we go home, when we do our homework research, that for the deliverables that are at the end of the week, we actually love to dive in and uh, finish, not finish, but actually provide insights on those deliverables, and coming back the next day that, oh, hey, tomorrow's university, and now I found these things tonight. Now I'm excited to show what research I've done and what the ideas I've found, and show them to my team, and let's have a discussion about it on the next day. Have a talk with the professor that what can be done, what is going to be on the next week, how we're going to move forward with the information we have collected, and to present it in a different way. We have guest lectures, so actually that's amazing to have people, have different people, and provide and listen from their insights what they want to provide. So that's really amazing process. Yeah.
Cool. Thanks. Amanda, is there anything that you wanted to jump in with?
Yeah, as I mentioned earlier, our professor or instructor changes for each project. So each instructor will have a different style of, you know, working, I
Mm-hmm.
suppose, or teaching. Um, so some professors, they start with kind of an icebreaker activity, see how we're doing on our project, see how we're feeling, and we may have a lecture, but then we do have a lot of time to work on our team deliverables as well, which is quite nice because as you're working on it, you can ask the instructor, your teammates for help. But yeah, every instructor is a different style, so it
Mm-hmm.
keeps things interesting. And we also have topics as well. So
Mm-hmm.
we have our in-person learning, and then outside of the classroom, we have our asynchronous topics that are due each week, and they're timed based on the relevancy to what we're working on within our project. So I find those interesting. They often have, external sources and guides and links to softwares or websites that may be helpful. So you can always kind of choose how much you want to dive in to
Mm-hmm.
those extra subjects. Yeah, so then you can bring that back to the classroom. And yeah, since we're working on one project at a time, it's not as daunting as
Mm-hmm.
7, for example, or 5. Like I think the average is 5. You can really focus on, going home, thinking about what you're working on. If you have, those random shower thoughts, oh, maybe
Mm-hmm.
we can add this to the map,
Mm-hmm.
maybe that. So it's and also the consistency. So at this time we have classes Monday to Thursday from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m., which again, in my previous experience is not the same. We started at 8, you might end at 8 p.m. some days. So to have the same schedule is very helpful, especially if you're working part-time
Yeah.
and want to have a life outside of
Mm-hmm.
school. It's nice to
Yep.
have some consistency and standardization and across semesters as well. So
Yeah. Yeah. Nice. Yeah. I think I remember right at the beginning when I was introducing the program to both of you and your other peers. I told you that you're no longer students within this space, but you are my employees. and you are junior consultants now. And the expectation that, you're going to come in and do kind of regular hours from that 10 to 3 and be really focused on doing stuff in service for your client, just like you would within a regular business environment. That I think is also quite different than maybe more of the passive learning environment that you would get in a regular learning space, where if you're in an amphitheater with 200 other students, and that's what my Psych 101 looked like back in my day, it's very unlikely that the instructor is going to have time to talk to each student, let alone even field questions from more than a handful of students within the time that they've got. So our learning environment is quite different too, especially that with that team-based, with, as you said, the set times that we have, with the rhythm of the projects and the change of instructors. There's a lot of variety, and yet enough kind of regular consistency that, as Amanda said, you can have a life outside. Most of our students work, and we expect them to have some student life too at the same time. So the last question I've got for you folks, and Amanda, maybe I'll start with you, and then just to switch things up a little bit, how might your BBA experience impact your ability to get a job after graduation? What do you think? I know you're still both early. You're just finishing up kind of year 3 essentially, but graduation's not too far ahead.
Yeah, I think, again, not to repeat what you already said, but because we are applying our knowledge within projects, that will be really helpful to explain, especially in an interview, not just saying a theory that you're familiar with. You can say how you applied it, or you could even show them your portfolio. For example, our system map that we created yesterday, we might be able to have a physical, tangible presentation of our applied knowledge, which is kind of difficult to do in another setting where you say, here's a 14-page paper that you don't even have time to read. You can share, especially when we have frequent presentations. At the end of our projects, most of them involve presentation of some sort, whether it's informal or formal. So having that experience practicing presenting what we've learned is really helpful. So it's almost like a rehearsal for an interview or even a job. I think, like I mentioned earlier as well, we're learning not just the hard skills, how to calculate a formula or how to, I don't know, use a specific software. There's so much in between with the teamwork as well. You're improving communication skills and interpersonal skills as well. And, with our professors encouraging us to go out and network and connect with people and our guest speakers, you feel supported in other ways to, extend your network outside of the academic setting. So yeah, we have touch points now with outsiders, I suppose. So it kind of bridges that gap. It feels less intimidating when you graduate from another university. It's like, all right, good luck, and then the door's shut. And now you have an identity crisis. Oh my gosh, I'm not a student anymore. What do I do? Or here, if you're kind of adopting the role as a professionalism as a student, you say, oh, that's the gap is not as scary anymore. It's yeah.
Yeah, good point. Yeah, nice. Arav, what about you?
Um, uh, to answer this question, the interviews I have seen, I've heard about, the interviewers never ask, "Hey, what can you show me your degree?" or "Hey, do you remember the fourth exam in your second year?" and what was the question in the second paper? They don't really ask that. The one question they ask is, "What can you tell me about yourself?" And you have to present a storytelling about yourself, that this is my journey and I have done what this stuff and how it can help you and this organization, and how can I be provide a useful resource for the organization. And for that purpose, I think we have experience, we are gaining experience from these project-based learning. That hey, in my second year I was doing a franchise project-based learning, and we had to provide insights whether to franchise or not, and I have done research about it. So I have practical skills of the research skills, and have some learnings about it, so I'll be useful for this purpose. So I think that's where the difference between in the interviews goes, because you have to actually present yourself, how you have your journey has been. I mean, rather than saying in your CV that hey, I have skills of Microsoft Excel or something,
Mm,
I would rather say third year franchisee agreement, and we
mhm,
have actual proofs of it showing that this is my agreement, this is the reports that we have done, this is the presentations we have done. Uh, so it's all linked to a specific thing. And honestly, we have experienced all this, I can explain it in the most truthful manner, and I'm actually explaining because I've lived through it, and not just saying, "Hey, in my 2 years of exams, I gained a lot of experience." But
mhm.
rather than that, I would be truthful about this because I've actually gained experience.
Nice. Yeah. Hey, thanks to both of you for the time that you've been able to give us this morning. It was a really good insights into what it's like to be a student here. I especially like the fact that you not only emphasized kind of the hard skills that you learn within the space, but also those soft skills, because again, that is what employers are looking for. They want people that they know they can train, that they know can communicate, that they know can problem solve when there isn't necessarily a clear answer. And I think that the project-based learning approach that we have within the BBA really tries to address those labor market needs, and what we hear when we go out and talk to hopefully your future employers. So that's it from me. I'm going to pass it back to Karen now, who's going to lead us through the last few slides that we have. So Karen, over to you.
Thank you so much. Just a quick reminder that if you have questions, please type them in the chat and we will go over them when we are done. So again, thank you so much for the testimonials, for the questions, for all the insights that you gave us. And now we're going to talk about how to apply to this program. So we've already learned why this program is great. So if we've managed to convince you to apply, how do you do it? Our standard admissions are, we're looking for students who have completed a minimum of 60 college or university credits. And from those 60 credits, 24 need to be second year level credits in any discipline from a recognized post-secondary institution, and you should have a minimum overall GPA of B. We do block transfers, so as long as you have those 60 credits, then you can join years 3 and 4. And that's what these block transfer mean. And then depending on the institution that you come from, we also have block transfer agreements in place. So maybe if you come from an institution that we've already have agreements with, the transition is way easier. Now, if you happen not to meet these standard admission requirements for any reason, maybe you don't have enough credits, or maybe you don't even have a diploma, but you have experience in the field, we have something called flexible admissions. So what flexible admissions are is an option for you to apply even though you don't meet the standard academic requirements for application. So again, if you have experience in volunteering or work experience, etc., you can make a case for yourself and explain why you, even though you don't have the standard requirements, you feel like you would be successful in the program, and then our admissions officer would work with you and go from there. One thing to mention is that we are always looking for reasons to accept students rather than not, because again, we'd really like to encourage that collaboration and learning from different experience and different backgrounds, because we think that that enriches your experience a lot. So for this specific program, if you want to apply through flexible admissions, you should have a minimum of 5 years of full-time work experience, or at least 3 years at a supervisory management level. And you should demonstrate strengths gained through that work that have to do with the areas of business, entrepreneurship, social entrepreneurship and social impact, social, cultural, or environmental sustainability, and civic leadership. And you also need to demonstrate through their statement of intent a clear alignment of your personal goals with the values and processes of the BBA program. These flexible admissions are assessed on a case-by-case basis. So again, you would be working with an admissions officer, and then they would help you with that application. If you happen to be an international student, we do have a language requirement. As the program is taught fully in English, we do require you to show proficiency in the language. So it depends on the exam that you want to do. We accept TOEFL and different, like TOEFL, the other one, Duolingo, and other types of tests for you to submit the official English language proficiency. And you would need to complete one of our Global Learning and Language Center programs, which they help you prepare for academic writing or academic presentation, etc., all in English. How to apply? You would have to go online in our website, do an online application, and submit your supporting documents, which are your official transcripts, your detailed resume, your personal statement, 2 letters of reference, and your language requirements if you happen to be an international student. This is, of course, if you apply through the normal way. If you do flexible admissions, then you submit different type of documents. Key dates to remember, it's that the start date of the next intake is September 8th of 2026, and the application deadline is on June 8th. So you have until June to apply. Again, all these admissions are reviewed on a case-by-case basis, and they are like, we review them as they come. So I would encourage you to apply sooner rather than later, because you would have more chance to prepare and to talk with us. We also have services available for you if you happen to have financial questions. We offer financial aid. On our website, there's tons of information about financial aid, awards, scholarships, etc. So I would encourage you to explore our website. You don't need to be a student to access those resources. They're all on our website. And you can connect with our financial aid advisors. They work with you. They help you see which scholarships, awards, etc. you're eligible for. And then they help you with the whole process of applying. So again, there's really lots of information. And sometimes something I always like to mention is that sometimes these funds go unused because people either don't know that they exist or they don't feel like they are eligible for, and they just don't try. But you might be eligible. So really try to explore. And if you're unsure, connect with our financial aid advisors, and then you can go and you have a good chance of getting financial aid because not many people apply for it. If you have more questions, you can also contact us at learn.more@rrus.ca, or you can also call us toll free at the number that you see on the screen. And then our enrollment advisors will help you narrow down your program options, help you connect with faculty and students if you happen to have more questions, answer more questions, and help you with your application, etc., etc. So again, thank you so much for joining today's session. We hope that you've learned something, and we hope that we've inspired you to join our great program. It really is a very nice program. And just so you know, I don't know how many other institutions have the program head actually attend these sessions and explain it by himself. So this is just to show how involved we are with our students. So thank you very much. I've been checking the chat, and it seems to be no questions, but again, if you happen to have more questions later, feel free to connect with us. Thank you so much, and thank you everyone that helped us with this session.